Paul Brown said to me, son, act like you've been there before. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just barely got on the field. I hadn't been there before. So
I'm glad to be part of that trend. You know, sun's out, guns out.
How about Isaac Curtis on one side, Charlie Joyner on the other side? A lot of quarterbacks were very envious that I had those two weapons to throw to, but
now wait a minute. Is it fair that Pat McInally is still the sexiest guy on our team? Is that
you got me there. You got me good.
Darling, how you gonna be in that video not represent with a chain? Your tango, man. I got mine on. I'm ready to go.
Oh, that's great. That's priceless.
There are two guys that I think it's a travesty that are not in that Hall of Fame.
Ken Riley and Ken Anderson. Yeah, sure.
Let's put the backdrop on, Jamie. See if Marissa's okay with it.
Yeah, I got her backdrop. Starting the Canadian fan club up here for you.
That is so funny.
My last touchdown, and that's what Joe Burrow's going to end up like if they don't start protecting his ass. It's going to be the next David Klingler. David Klingler.
There's no Spanish-speaking people here, very few. So we, fast forward, we go to the Super Bowl in Miami, and the word was the Bengals have two big Mexican offensive linemen. They don't know how to speak Spanish. So I got down there and started doing these interviews in Spanish, and they're like, "Wait, we heard you don't speak Spanish."
What's going on, fellas? What's going on? But I got on the plane one day in an all-red Suge Knight suit. And boy, Joe Walters and the linemen, they destroyed me. I thought for sure I was so clean. I had some gaiters on, all red suit on. I was Suge Knight. They roasted me.
The head coach was the really the pain in the butt. The Jerry Glenn, he would thought he was. If you didn't know who he was, he walked out there like he owned his stadium. And I always say, if I could get a chance to hit him on the sideline, I would.
I'm tackling your ass, Pete. I'm shoestring low on you.
But I got to tell you, you have been stepped on, son. You would have had cliques everywhere.
Well, I'm proud to be a Bengal. Yes, I am. I'm proud to be a Bengal. Always been. I got nothing from you guys.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Football with Bengal Jim and Friends. Beautiful weekend here in Cincinnati. Unbelievable weather the whole weekend. How was it up there in Canada, Jamie?
Yes, sir. It's nice out here as well.
Look at that, man. Outside, first time Jamie gets out of the house or letting him out of the house up in Canada right now. Which is nice.
The only place I'm allowed to be.
Hey, welcome, everybody. So, hey, what a great week this past week here. Rookie minicamp in the books here. Great to see the videos and stories around the rookies that are coming in. It sounds like we got bigger and we got faster, and we added some depth there with this rookie class, which is really cool to see. The Reds won today, I think 7-6. Thank goodness they needed that dub. And would also like to welcome our friends from Houday Nation, the Facebook group, Houday Nation. We know you guys are out there watching. We love you guys. If you're not watching them, make sure you join and follow Houday Nation, guys. Kind of back up a little bit, guys. Jeff Hobson's book, the Cincinnati Bengal Bible of History here, which I look at on a daily basis. On this date, May 16, 2006, one of the greatest tight ends in Cincinnati Bengals history passed away. Only 49 years old, Dan Ross passed away here in 2006. And I remember Kenny and some of the other players talking about how shocked they were. The guy was a picture of great health, health fanatic, always ran and jogged, and passed away back in 2006 at 49 years old. But obviously, Tom, one of the greatest tight ends in Bengal history for sure, right?
Kenny Anderson's security blanket with those early 80 Bengal teams. He loved to throw to Dan Ross. He was as important, other than Kenny, as any single player on that drive to the Super Bowl and had that record Super Bowl game. Yep,
good stuff. So, guys, the agenda tonight is going to be fun, man. We try to go. We've got some players lined up down the road. We want to say those typically for the season, but we've got Brody Miller, who works for The Athletic and covers LSU football. what a great pipeline Cincinnati Bengals have with some damn good football players coming north. As James would say, the Bayou Bengals coming up to the Cincinnati Bengals. So we're going to get into some great stories and have some conversations with Brody Miller, who covers LSU. Some great stuff to talk to him about. And guys, the entire second half of this show, and guys, I don't care. I'll be on. If it's nobody watching, it's just us on the screen and my buddy Josh. We had to give him a name. His title, effective today, is going to be Josh, the Bengals Super Collector. Okay, so if we come up with a better name for him, let me know. We were struggling with that before the show, how to introduce him. So we have got dozens of items from you as the viewers that have direct messaged us with some really cool items. I personally have a bunch of stuff that we're going to put on the screen tonight, and my buddy Josh has some really cool things. I'm really excited about that segment, guys. We told Tom he couldn't put any on the screen tonight. He was pretty upset about it.
I'll get through.
And Super Collector, as we've talked before, Super Collector for Josh is still an understatement. We're underselling exactly what he has.
I'd be too embarrassed. with this stuff.
So real quick, everybody that's watching right now, we need an answer in the chat area. Tom, pull that jersey up so everybody can see the number on there. Is that 91? 91, what, late 80s, right? Mid-late 80s?
Yep.
What Bengal player jersey does Tom have on right now? So you don't win anything. Just we'll say your name on screen if you get it right. So. Yeah, a bunch of stuff in here. And let's talk about a couple other things here real quick, guys. So we want to talk about the Jungle to the Hall event. We're getting some significant media participation in this. Ken Brew, if you didn't hear, was talking about it on the radio yesterday. We have some stuff lined up this week and the following week with some local media. We do have 2 national media outlets involved. I can tell you that, we're getting the RSVPs have exceeded well over the 100 that have RSVP'd for the event up in Canton on June 19th. The itinerary, the more details in that itinerary between that 1 and 3 o'clock, we're hoping to have out by the end of the week. We're still firming some individuals up, some players and some other folks within the Hall of Fame. So we're hoping to have more specific details of what's going to happen between that 1 and 3 in the event tent. The big thing is getting bodies there. We're going to have a lot of local and national media coverage from all over the country and state, especially local. It is important for us to show up, man. This is our opportunity as fans to get out and be able to voice and show our appreciation for our Bengal legends and have fun with it. And when we're done, we're going to get a tour, and we're going to have a fun day out of it. And some of us are going to have a fun weekend out of it, depending on how long you determine you're staying up there or not. Please make sure if you're having trouble RSVPing, there's links on Facebook and YouTube. Is it an Eventbrite, James, that we set up? Is that what it's called?
Yes. Yep, that's correct.
So make sure that you get on there, because I know a lot of people are telling me they're going, but they haven't RSVP'd yet. We need to get more of a closer head count on that. So please make sure that you do RSVP. Now, RSVP, just be very clear, that 1 to 3 is a free event. You don't pay anything. If you want to go into the hall, we got discount tickets for you. If you want to stay at a hotel that night, we got discount hotel tickets that night. But the event at 1 to 3 o'clock is 100% free. Make sure you get on there, RSVP. If you're struggling or not sure how to do it, direct message us and we'll help. We'll walk you through it and how to do that. Okay. But the way it's looking right now, we're well over 100. We're going to push that 200 here probably the next 2 or 3 weeks as we get closer to the event. So I'm trying to think here. Really, I don't have anything else to talk about here. Usually we got all kinds of stuff in the opening to talk about, James. So
no, that's Jody Snyder, Mike Quigley, Sam Pappas, Jacob Aldridge are our last 4 people that signed up. And again, it's simple. You just go to the Eventbrite link, which I'm trying to find to share with everybody here now. It's going to be a fun weekend. Isn't it your birthday that Friday night, Jimmy?
It is. It is. Thanks for reminding me.
What are you going to be, 65?
No.
Oh, 66.
I'm tired of getting made fun of because I'm old, Tom.
No, that's going to be a fun weekend. The high school before with Paul Brown, checking that out. Certainly the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a fun day. And then after hours, if you're can stay, spend some time, drink some beers, eat some food, and just make it a full day of it. It is Father's Day weekend, so there's no excuse for the guys. Tell the wife and kids that's what you want to do that weekend, and make the trip up. Personally, for myself, I've never had the opportunity to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so looking forward to it, and what a great excuse to do so as we campaign for two great Bengal legends to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yep. Actually, if you could put up Chris's comment right there, James or Jamie. So guys, if you want to direct message us or call me, whatever you need. So there's a link on that is pinned to our Facebook page and pinned to our Twitter page. All you're doing is, if you want the discount tickets for the Hall of Fame, you're just clicking that link. You don't need to put in promo codes or anything. It automatically is $23 versus $28. They're just taking $5 off that. And then the link for the hotel, if there's rooms left, I haven't checked this week. If you click that link, there's no promo codes. They're just giving us 15% off the hotel rooms that are available that night through that link. That's it. If you want to call them directly and maybe you got a bigger discount or something else that might help you a little bit better than 15%, feel free to do it. If you're having trouble with that, just let me know. I know as of a couple weeks ago, I know the rooms were close to being booked. I don't know exactly how many were left, but there's a lot of hotels right there close anyhow. So don't let that, prevent you from going. If you were looking to spend a night up there, there's a bunch of hotels right there close. So we're not all going to stay in the same hotel room. So, all right, we're still waiting on
Lisa. Sorry, I got a bunch of bugs here. Lisa's asking a burning question here. Since you guys always show off your booze that you're drinking, I'll fill a couple minutes here, and it is a Cabernet. You guys, Robert Mondavi, California Cabernet. All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, what is that? What year is that? Aren't you supposed to ask wine drinkers what year is that?
This is only a 2019. I'm not gonna lie, it's not too sophisticated, but it is my favorite one.
Good stuff. So hold on, Jamie. So where are you at right now? This is the first time since we've been doing this show over a year now. You have a different backdrop. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm in my backyard. I'm outside. So Addie wants to go swimming, but she's gonna wait till the show's over before she does that, so you guys don't hear her flopping around in the pool. But just hanging out outside.
Hey, the one thing I want to touch on. Go ahead, Jamie.
No, I have my Tony here as well. I just wanted to.
Mine's back there. It's up on the shelf. But we touched on this last week, and there was a lot of buzz about season tickets. So I'm going to put this phone number back up on the screen. I know a lot of people purchased some between last week's show and tonight. If you're still interested, what is cheap as $4 to get season ticket for the upcoming season. Here's the number. Call them. Ask for the Bengal Gym discount, and the great folks in the ticket office will definitely take care of you. 156, 158, that whole southwest end zone is going to be rocking for sure, right, Jimmy?
I know, I don't know exactly what percentage increase season tickets are right now, how many they've sold, but I can tell you that season ticket office in general, because single game seats went on sale. Make sure you buy your single game tickets. If you don't have season tickets, buy them through the Bengals. No fees, no charges on top of the regular price on those. Make sure you call the Bengals phone number that James and Jamie had just put up there. But it is an amazing, I'm not exaggerating, 27 new people that I'm aware of. And I know there's way more than that in section 158 alone, not counting all the people that are going to the Canopy Crazy section and different sections. There's definitely some excitement generated around the season tickets this year, but everything the Bengals are doing off the field is also is the why behind that for sure. Whether it be free agency, the draft, Joe Burrow coming back, COVID, we're getting closer to the end of this stuff being somewhat normal. Other than our Canadian friends, a little bit behind us on that.
A little.
All righty. Looks like our guest is here. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a quick introduction. Jimmy touched on it earlier, but we talked about the pipeline that's forming from Baton Rouge to Cincinnati. And our next guest is the beat writer for The Athletic, In the past, covered SEC football for the New Orleans Times-Picayune and the Jackson Clarion Ledger. A South Jersey native who attended Indiana University. Let's welcome Brody Miller to the screen. Hey, Brody, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. It's a lot of excitement, and obviously it started last year with the drafting of Joe Burrow. But let's before we get into all that good stuff, let's talk about the SEC football, Tiger Stadium, all that good stuff that you have the opportunity to cover down there in Baton Rouge. What's it like, covering the SEC and specifically Tiger football?
Yeah, I'll admit. So, like I said, I'm from Jersey. Went to school in Big Ten country, in the Midwest and whatnot. And I've been to a lot of good football stadiums, been to a lot of pretty great places. I gotta say, SEC football, it really, to me, is a different animal. And I'm pretty lucky to be able to cover football every week in Tiger Stadium just because, I know Wright Thompson, Scott Van Pelt, a lot of experts always said that is the best place to see a sporting event in all of sports. And I'm always all right, we'll see. And it's actually pretty special. There's nothing quite like it. And not just because the stadium and the environment and all that, but the tailgate before, the Cajun and Creole food going on at the tailgates and whatnot. So SEC football, I'm not going to say it means more, but it's a lifestyle for sure.
Going back 2 seasons leading up to the national championship campaign, what were the expectations out of the LSU fans going into that season?
Into 2019?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was definitely not what they became. I'll put it. They had come off that 10-3 Fiesta Bowl season. That was clearly, a step forward. They were clearly going in the right direction. Burrow was a big part of that, of course. And there was this feeling that, okay, the seeds were getting planted and everything. Then they hired Joe Brady and it was, all right, he's finally bringing a new offense. But to be clear, LSU fans had heard that for about 7 years at that point, that, all right, someone's finally bringing in the spread. They're finally going to modernize, and it just never happened. So I think everyone thought, okay, first time LSU's had an established quarterback in 10, 15 years, to be honest. First, really experienced unit. There was a hope that, all right, 10-2, 11-1, getting that mix. I don't think anyone really deeply expected undefeated juggernaut offense and all that. But Burrow just, as you guys know, Burrow just took a leap with that scheme, with Joe Brady, with those receivers, and it just took a leap that nobody could have ever seen coming. And more importantly, I think, and I'd give the credit to Burrow here, I think Burrow was just one of those figures that genuinely just changed the chemistry of a room, changed the vibes of a room and that whole program and everybody kind of followed his lead, and he created a culture in that building. And it's a kind that they've missed since he's been gone.
What was the buzz when Joe obviously left Ohio State, came to LSU? Obviously, what the end product was, nobody could have thought of that. But was there a buzz? Hey, this kid could help us out here.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of savior buzz. There was, because there's that context with LSU of, it's one of the better programs in football history, right? But still, it's always been this known thing that LSU, they're good at almost everything. They're usually 1 or 2 in the NFL at college products, all that, but they can't develop quarterbacks. That's just always been the thing. Even Jamarcus Russell was the number 1 pick. First off, didn't work out, but 2, not even like he was an All-American superstar in college. He kind of had that epic bowl game, right? LSU just never really develops quarterbacks, especially not big number guys. So, and then you talk about the offense and all of that. So I think it was, all right, this is finally the guy, and then you heard the stories about his personality and all that, but still, they didn't really know him or anything like that. I think and it's also the bar was so low. His freshman year, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah, he was, you guys know, it was game managing, kind of 2,800 yards, I want to say, didn't throw interceptions, but even that was such a leap forward because the bar was so low. But to answer your question, yeah, there was definitely a little bit of savior vibes that this guy from Ohio was going to come in and be the star.
What was the city of New Orleans, Baton Rouge, basically Louisiana, national championship night, playing right there at the Superdome?
Yeah, it's actually bizarre. All 3 LSU national championships, well, actually all 4 they've played in the 21st century, all 4 have weirdly been in New Orleans somehow, and the chances of that are just bizarre. But no, it was a pretty wild night on Bourbon Street. It's one of my big regrets. I was, for my own fault, accidentally working until that whole night, and most of my friends were off and ended up finished by midnight, and they went out and had fun, and I was not, and it's my big regret. But I saw a lot of pictures of a lot of players sitting in Bourbon Street with a cigar. Nobody throws a party like Louisiana, and that night was no exception. Absolutely.
We're going to show a picture here that night. Obviously, Joe there in the center. Your head coach is always just a different character. I feel like he fits the Bayou personality perfect. Talk about Ed Orgeron for a little bit.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy because there's really no precedent in sports for him, really. I mean, a coach who failed as spectacular as he did as Ole Miss, with the context of, right, his personality, his Cajun gravelly voice, his just kind of him. He's, I don't love to feed into this, but he kind of to a lot of people seemed like a Waterboy impression, and all that. And I think, so much about him was always just the laughing stock. And you add the failure at Ole Miss on top of that. And it was just kind of, when he got that job, I think it was pretty safe to say it was laughed at around the country. The LSU, who should be able to be one of the top 5 jobs in the country year in, year out, is hiring a failed defensive line coach. I think that was the vibe, but he is as Louisiana as it gets. And I think he proved in his USC stint before that he had figured some things out. And I think the thing I'll always give Ed Orgeron credit for, more than X's and O's stuff or anything like that, the thing I always give him credit for is he knows how to listen. He knows how to change. And that is somebody who's covered a good amount of coaches. That's very, very rare. These guys usually get there because they're successful and they think they're the smartest guy in the room and they're going to follow the way they've always done it. And that is the failure of a lot of coaches. By the way, probably the failure of Orgeron at Ole Miss, right? And that's the biggest strength I'll give him is he listens to people now. He understands he's failed, so he knows to not think he knows everything, and that's such an underrated skill. And I think that's the secret to kind of what happened in 2019 was he listened and he changed a lot of things.
Such a unique, polarizing figure. I can listen to press conferences and him talk between him and Mike Leach, just two great coaches. Off the record here, there's just us 4. Do you think we'll hear the neck chant at Paul Brown Stadium, or will that be outlawed like it is?
The question is, I don't think Mike Brown would be exactly thrilled with paying that TV fine, would he? I don't think he'd be too happy. But man, that would be incredible. I know Jamar and Joe would love it.
All right. If I'm just going to leave it there. If you don't know what the neck chant is, just Google it after you get done watching the show, and you'll be entertained. All right. We're going to talk now, if you don't mind, Brody, with the current pipeline. Jimmy's going to talk real quick, though, about some of the great former LSU players that wore Bengal stripes.
Yeah,
Jimmy?
right. So, Jamie, if you're there, put me on screen. I want to ask Brody something here. Put me full screen. So, Brody, is this your middle school picture? What is this right here?
I mean, that was my first year out of college. I want to say I was like 23. Yeah, that was. I mean, I still have a baby face to be clear, but that was extra young looking.
Totally just messing with you, buddy. Totally.
No, you're good.
So what's really cool, I mean, again, you may be way too young to know some of these names, but the history there at LSU is amazing, right? So it's always been a great pipeline to the NFL, but most of the schools in the SEC are the same way. But there has been a special connection, not just recently, which we'll get into here with you in a minute, but the history, man. I mean, the Bengals back in the 70s, Tommy Casanova, who was an absolute stud for Cincinnati and LSU. I think he might be in the LSU Hall of Fame. I mean, just a great player. Charles Alexander, a great player here in Cincinnati. Jeremy Hill, which a lot of Bengal fans are cringing when I just said the word Jeremy, his name on screen here. Mark Roman, and one of the all-time, maybe most popular Bengals, one of them for sure, Andrew Whitworth. I mean, it's been a pretty good history, pretty good relationship between Cincinnati and LSU.
It's true. No, and I actually, for some reason, I forgot Charles Alexander ended up playing at the Bengals. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, it is kind of bizarre, and obviously these last 2 years, it's just, I mean, there's really not much press. I can't think of many other teams that are drafting this many guys in a 2-year span from the school. But yeah, no, it's pretty. I think with Whitworth especially, there's a lot of Bengals fans or LSU fans that are already kind of conditioned to kind of watch a Bengals game and be a little more interested in it.
Yeah.
Talking about, if we can transition now to the current players, we'll start from this year's draft and go lowest to highest. Tyler Shelvin, you talk to some critics, love him, hate him. It seems like they're on both sides of the spectrum, specifically talking about Tyler. What's your take on him, and what can we expect from him in orange and black this year?
Yeah, he's one of the more fascinating people, and I love how you preface that because, I mean, you could write a book on him. I mean, he's a fascinating character because, I mean, he's a guy who, when he finished even before that, yeah, he was a kind of running joke between us beat reporters. Not in a mean way. Everyone knew how talented he was. 5-star guy. Everyone knew, like, that guy is – I mean, Dave Aranda used to tell stories of him in a scrimmage chasing down a running back 50 yards downfield, and you're like, that's 370 pounds. That doesn't make sense. Like, his potential was always clear, but the weight was just an incessant problem. It was constant. I mean, it was just a running gag that, like, Ed Ogeron was the one always hardest on him, and it would be like, the joke was he'd always put slim in front of every time. He'd be like, he's a slim 380 this week, or he's a slim 356, you know. And it was, and he got to the point he missed the Florida game because they suspended him because he just couldn't get his weight in order, and he got suspended for like 2 weeks because of it. And it's just a constant issue. But then that redshirt sophomore year, 2019, obviously no secret, he finally put it together. And I mean, it was the quiet narrative kind of behind the scenes. The more people you talk to in that season was obviously Burrow's the guy, Chase is the guy. Defensively, you know, like Queen and Chason, all those guys were probably more of the names. Stingley, of course. But you talk to people, it's like, if you talk about who's the most important player on that defense, it was Tyler Shelvin. He was taking up double teams, triple teams quite often. He was creating more pressure than I think he gets credit for, because he was making a push with 2 guys on him a lot. And everything that happened with that defense that was, I think, better than the statistics and whatnot show, he was the rock of that. And any coach would tell you that in that field. And I remember there was debate if he was going to go pro. And, you know, they ended up talking into him, and everyone kept saying, if he comes back, that guy is going to be a top 15, top 20 pick. Like, that was really the belief, is that this guy is going to show everyone. But the question was, could he prove his discipline? Could he prove that he could keep that weight down for 2 seasons, and his, you know, just overall discipline issues? Could he keep that together? And when I say discipline, it's always worth clarifying. He's actually a really, like, good kid, really smart kid, really well-respected kid. It's not like he's like a troublemaker and just, you know, couldn't keep his stuff. He couldn't get his weight down and whatnot. So I think he was the ultimate example of why opting out was such an interesting topic. Like, Jamar Chase was always going to be fine, right? He was worked out that way. But Tyler Shelvin, it's like he's the one example of a guy who had to prove it for another year. And that's obviously why he fell. There's no doubt about that, because I think if you talk to any personnel guy who just looked at his 2019 tape, they'd be like, yeah, that guy can be Vince Wilfork. I mean, that guy should be at least a second rounder or a late first. That was always the vibe at the time. So I think it hurt him just not being able to show it for 2 years, not being able to prove he's got his stuff together. But, you know, I did a big deep dive on him about a month or 2 ago. And, you know, I talked to his family members and people who, for what it's worth, were very opposed to him opting out. Like, his grandmother who raised him, his like closest advisor, they're people who have his best interest at heart. And they said, you are making a mistake by opting out. You're going to gain weight. You're going to make the wrong choices. Like, they were adamant he was messing up his life. And they actually came back and talked to me in April, and they were like, he proved me wrong, just flat out. He made all the right choices. He actually came in better shape than he's ever been. He grew up, is basically what they said. And they're like, I would actually tell him to do the same thing, because I don't think if he didn't opt out and go on his own without us, he wouldn't have grown up like he did. So I don't know where I stand. I mean, I think like getting him in where you got the Bengals got him is a home run to me, just because of the upside and the talent, and he is a good kid in those things. But yeah, you have to just be worried, you know, about the weight and things like that. Sorry for the long answer.
No, that's a great answer and a lot of insight there, and that's why I appreciate you coming on tonight. That was good. So, what did he do this past year since he wasn't with a team to stay trim? What were you able to dig up on that?
Yeah, he went to the Exos gym in Dallas, which is where Jamar trained. A ton of guys who now, you know, first, second round picks and whatnot, trained for, you know, basically 6 months. And yeah, he's basically on his own for the first time in his life. He never really left Louisiana in any meaningful way. And, you know, these are the guys who crank out NFL guys all the time. But, you know, he maintained his diet. He, you know, the joke, they were saying that like he likes to cook himself. He's a good cook. So he would like sit with the nutritionist all the time and figure out good meals and things like that to make. And I know 356 is what he came in at, so a lot of people are like, that's still huge, but that's about his kind of ideal weight, you know, in terms of he can still be really nimble, really athletic at 356. I think the best he ever was at 345. And you know, the trainer, and I feel terrible, I'm forgetting his name because he's really well-respected trainer at Exos, but, you know, he was saying, he's like, yeah, I don't think he could lose more weight and be like as productive as he is. That is where you'd want him. And whether he can keep it there, that's the other question. But in terms of how he's operated the last 9 months in Dallas and whatnot, it seemed like it was a success.
And you got me excited. The defensive front is definitely an area where we need some help. So if he can come in and maintain that weight, I think we, as you alluded to, got a steal there at the end of the draft. Next player not drafted by us, unrestricted free agent signing last year, went to Washington for whatever reason. Didn't stick there. Was cut earlier this year. Has a Hall of Fame father. What can you tell us about Thad Moss?
Yeah, he's an interesting dude because it's a really sad story, but also a cool story depending on which end point you want to end at. Because I mean, he transferred in, right, and he was kind of supposed to be that next, because LSU kind of never has those receiving tight ends. They were always blockers because they were a power run scheme, obviously, and he was going to be that first movement. And son of Randy Moss, all these expectations, and sat out that first year, and then he had surgery on his foot, and they basically just botched the surgery. They just it wasn't his fault, but I don't think LSU coaches understood that at the time. And there was this weird thing where it's like every 2 weeks it'd be like Thaddeus Moss is going to play, and then it's like, actually no. And I think there was some anger toward him. They thought he was kind of like a baby, and like they thought he was just like couldn't fight through injuries and things. And then they realized, come by the end of that offseason, oh, this surgery was done poorly. His foot was just completely still broken, essentially. I think it was a stress fracture. I could be wrong. And they had to redo the surgery. And by the time it was by the time he came back, it was kind of like, yeah, sure, we'll believe Thad Moss is going to play when he actually plays. And he was Joe Burrow's safety blanket. And I think he overachieved what any one of us kind of expected of him. Broke the LSU record for receptions by a tight end, 50 plus. And I think the context worth mattering to Bengals fan. I'm sure you guys know this already, but Joe Burrow's not a social guy. I mean, he's beloved by everybody. Everybody loves Joe Burrow. But when he was at LSU, he's just a different wired kind of cat. He likes to keep to himself. He literally would sit alone at the lunch table and just like watch film. Like that's who he is. But he kind of only had like two guys, like almost no one saw his apartment, right? Like pretty much had two guys who were his actual like best friends who he did everything with, talked with all the time. And one of them was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The other was Thad Moss. Like they were very, very close. And I'm sure that's a big part of why he's in Cincinnati right now. But yeah, they had a really tight bond, and they're kind of similar guys who are quiet, cool, collected, but really smart and have a huge chip on their shoulder. They both have that. So yeah, I think he's a guy who he's tough. Like he's not, I'm not going to claim he's going to be some great NFL blocker. I don't even know if he's going to work with the Bengals. I have no idea, but you have some serious injury problems. He's a tough guy, likes to block. He's just a really smart receiver, solid, reliable possession guy. Like I said, caught over 50 passes. I don't know his upside, but I would assume if he didn't have the injury issues and all that, he would have been, 4th or 5th round guy. Like I feel pretty confident that he was red flagged, and I'm sure that's why it didn't work out in Washington. I haven't really double checked on that.
All right, on to the next one, and this one was debated. I don't know if you read any of the Cincinnati newspapers reading up to the draft. There was Team Sewell. Yep. There was Team Chase, and we were on one side or the other. Personally, I was Protect Joe. I was on Team Sewell. Jimmy changed with the wind, depending on which way the wind blew that day. And, you had friends and, or fans on both sides of the equation. So I think either way, we could go wrong. I'm certainly super happy that Ja'Marr Chase is here. So tell us a little bit about Ja'Marr Chase. Obviously a quiet year with him not playing. Tell us what type of person we got with our first round pick this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I hate like overhyping guys and things like that, but I got asked this in an interview like a little while back, and I really blanked, and I felt terrible because I don't want to be this reporter who's like yacht rah rah, like love everybody, but he doesn't have a glaring flaw. Someone asked me what's his biggest knock, and I'm like, there isn't really one. He is a guy who came in, wasn't even the top recruit. Terrace Marshall was the top receiver recruit in his class, but Ja'Marr just came in immediately, was clearly the guy. Like everyone's like, this guy is going to be a star. Freshman year kind of took his time to just get that, just get the comfort, the rhythm, Joe's trust, all those kind of things. And, but then right around the bowl practice, when you have those extra 3 weeks of practice, something must have clicked. I don't know what it was. I think it's relatively common with freshmen. And, Joe hit him, I forget what his stats were, but I want to say at about 100 plus yards in the Fiesta Bowl and looked really good. And going into that next year, it was like, all right, Ja'Marr Chase is going to be a guy. And I don't think anybody expected Ja'Marr Chase to, surpass Justin Jefferson, for example, as the Biletnikoff winner and all that. And he's somebody who, I remember, I actually went back and read some stories recently from that 2019 season. And the thing that always stood out was, before we even I think because we didn't really understand that Chase was a superstar until say week 6 or 7, right? But early you could see whenever games got a little tough, whenever things got a little, dicey, as pressure on Joe, whatever it be, he just kept going to Jamar. It was just, that was his trust guy. That was the guy who he would hit like 4 plays in a row just to attack a weak corner or just to get a ball for 7 yards. Like there was a weird trust there that like, if I need to complete a ball, it's Jamar Chase. And he had this ability, and I always like to compare it to like a heat check ISO ball scorer in basketball who comes off not comes off the bench, but just goes off for 6 minutes and is like, I got this, and scores 18 points in 6 minutes. That was kind of Jamar's career at LSU, where he would just have a quarter where he just changed the chemistry of the game, just took over. And the Clemson game in the national title is the best example because LSU's getting shut out in the first quarter for the first time all year, first time anyone's led them in the first quarter. No one's ever seen them struggle like this. And then he just embarrasses AJ Terrell, a first-round pick, for 2 touchdowns in a row, I believe. Ended up having over 200 yards on him and just kind of embarrassed him. And is because what he did in that second quarter. And he's a guy who is a really good jump ball guy, in my opinion. Not that my opinion matters. He's really good in the air. He's a good route runner, does all those things. But I think what makes him exceptional is that, you guys have seen him, right? He's built like, he's only 6 foot. He's shorter than he looks, I guess, but he's built like a running back. He really is, and he moves like a running back. And I don't have the stat in front of me anymore, but he led all FBS receivers in yards after contact, which I thought was a jarring stat. It was pretty exceptional, his rate of yards after contact, because you'd get an 8-yard ball, and he's not exact. It's not like he was like a CeeDee Lamb where you just like threw him a screen and let him go. Wasn't his game, but he would get like a curl route and just shake a guy off and then go for 20 extra yards. And I think that's his greatest skill, is that he is just kind of built like a running back. He has this amazing balance and body control that he can kind of shift around stuff. So I think that's his game, and then his personality. Yeah, is just a guy who isn't cocky, but it's just quiet and self-assured, and I think there's like an earnestness to him, and him and Joe are actually a really fascinating mix for that reason.
We asked some other draft experts leading up to it their NFL comparison. If you, Brody, had an NFL comparison for Jamar, who would you say that is?
I heard one, I forget who said it, I feel terrible, but right before the draft, someone suggested, and I hadn't thought of it, and I think it's dead on. I think it's Steve Smith. I think that's a really good one. I'm sure you guys have heard that one too, or maybe you guys have already suggested it, but I think that one actually works. I don't think it's perfect. I think he's, a little more, like, I'm not going to claim he's as good after the catch and all that as Steve Smith. Of course not yet at least, but there's a little more possessionness, I think, to him, and like he has those skills a little more, but I really like that comp, both from he's a little bigger, obviously, I think a little taller, but just that after that feel, that build, that after the catch ability, I actually really like that comp. What's your guys?
Well, we heard everything from Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and it's interesting you mentioned Steve Smith. Jimmy and I were at the draft in Cleveland, and I think it's Friday morning. We're leaving a hotel, walking out of the lobby, and guess who we run into? Steve Smith. So maybe that's a sign, Brody. That's interesting that you mentioned him. Definitely taller. Steve's short, but definitely a little taller.
He's definitely taller, and when I asked Steve for a picture, and he almost looked like he was going to punch me in the face, Brody. So I don't know, man.
Well, that's another comp actually, because Steve Smith is one like this, like not scary but tough dude. Jamar's not like that, but Jamar is a little bit of like, you say the wrong thing and he'll just like give you like just a death stare of just like, what are you talking about, dude? Like he's a cool, tough guy like that. So I actually love this comp even more now.
So here's what's funny, Brody. I don't know if you guys at those scooters. You know what I'm talking about? Those scooters. All right, so he's on social media talking about he's going to explore Cincinnati. Evidently, he never knew what was in Cincinnati, man. So he thought it was like a lot of flat land. He had no idea. So he was downtown actually yesterday and today on scooters in disguise, incognito. So everybody was downtown trying to find his ass, but they couldn't find him, man. So it was. I just don't want him to fall off the damn thing and get hurt.
I was going to say there's a lot of hills there. Right? I don't think that's safe.
Just needs to wear his helmet. That's for sure. Goodness. All right. Well, that's great recap so far of the 3 players we talked about. And of course, last but not least, last year in the draft, fortunately we did have the first pick, but there was a lot of discussion leading up to it. Is it going to be Joe? Is it going to be Tua? Justin Herbert? Should they trade back? I think 99.9% of Bengals fans are ecstatic with Joe. Obviously, last year was tough with him, getting hurt. The O-line is hopefully something we addressed this year. You've touched on Joe a little bit. What else can you say about Joe and your experience with him, especially during that national championship season?
Yeah, I think the thing with him and going to Cincinnati, right, which is, a place where, I mean, to be full disclosure, I was raised by, Cincinnati natives, and I've grew up with Bengals, in my life a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's a franchise that I think it kind of is dying for that force of will character, right? That narrative character who can like rise up. And I know that stuff can be kind of corny sometimes, but I also believe there's validity of it. Like Tom Brady, isn't somebody who's obviously going to be the best quarterback coming out of college, but he just has that force of will to like lift a franchise and whatnot. And I think Joe, I hate getting hypey, but he has that. I mean, he's a special, weird, quirky, just hyper focused dude who's one of the most competitive people I've ever met. And he has this way of, his absurd, just almost sociopathic work ethic kind of filters out to other people. So I always felt like if anybody could be the person to just, carry this franchise forward into the next thing and then create a culture that can, continue. I always felt Joe was kind of perfect for that. I almost felt like if Tua went there, and Tua's an awesome person, I mean, who doesn't like Tua? He's a great player, and I'm curious to see what happens with him next year in Miami. But even him, I just could have seen him getting lost there, kind of getting like lost in the shuffle if things didn't quite go right or something. And I felt like Joe is the guy who, and based on like the interviews I read and things like that, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong, it seems like the veterans already have this weird like reverence for him and whatnot. So I think that's why I was always really sold on Joe, on top of his absurd processing ability, on top of his accuracy and mobility and all that stuff already. I just think that he has that personality that just elevates.
He, as you alluded to, he got the captain, the C in year one, which obviously most rookies don't get. And, as Bengals fans, we're certainly ecstatic. We want to be conscious of your time, Brody. So if you don't mind, about 10 more minutes here with us. And then also we want to remind everybody tuning in, type your questions in. Jamie will put those up. I have one more for you, Brody, before we go to Tom. I know he has a couple. This isn't an LSU player, but somebody that played just down the street from you at Tulane. Another one of our draft picks this year, an edge position, which we dearly needed. We touched on the defensive line and how much of a need that was for us entering the 2021 season. What can you tell us about Tulane product, Cam Sample?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I won't pretend to be an overall expert on him, but I mean, he's a just, I don't know, he was a really talented player. And I think from what I remember, I did a little bit of Tulane stories from back then. I mean, he's a really high character guy too. And I keep talking about like high character guys, but I mean, I do think that stuff matters. And yeah, I think he's somebody who seems like he still has a lot of upside that's been, hasn't quite been tapped into. I think he's a guy who, it's always tricky with guys who play, in group of five, right? Where I think some guys that get to a higher level and that actually accelerates their growth and actually like lets them, I don't know, it kind of like unlocks things because they're playing on guys that are on their level. And sometimes guys can get lost in that shuffle. So I'm really curious to see what happens with him in that department. But he's a really good edge rusher who I believe is a guy who can kind of play inside and outside. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So I really like that pick. And I think Cam Sample's a guy who has a lot of upside.
Another high character guy, and I think that's one of the things we've noticed in Zach Taylor's drafts. Year 3 for him in Cincinnati, and things that happened in the past. There's been some questionable guys wearing the orange and black. So one pleasant change is hearing those, the high character guys, great locker room assets, and excited and excited to see what Cam can bring. All right, enough of me talking. Tom, I know you had some questions for Brody. Go ahead and fire away, buddy.
Brody, one of the things, with LSU just not only being a pipeline, the Bayou Bengals up to the Bayou Bengals up to the Cincinnati Bengals, but the entire league. Is it the systems employed on offense and defense? Is it the recruiting that Ed and his staff does down there?
Yeah.
What is it? And obviously we're enjoying it. It's going to be a great fit. Guys that know how to win championships from LSU and in the SEC should be able to get the Bengals over the hump and to the Super Bowl and hopefully win it.
Yeah, it's such a good question. I think you obviously just start with the simple. I think Louisiana, obviously, it's not like 1 or 2 in overall talent, but it's number 1 in talent per capita, which is always something that's really intriguing. And there's something to. It's why LSU, I think a lot of coaches would actually sneakily tell you, is the best job in college football, not because it's the best in all the obvious ways, but because it's the highest per capita, right? And there's no direct competition for guys in state. You're not going to really be battling with Tulane for Jamar Chase, right? So I think that's what makes it so appealing, is that if you're a Louisiana star, you're every now and then they'll go to Bama, but for the most part, you're staying at LSU. But I think there's something to the fact that from Saban to Miles to Ogeron, they do keep cranking these guys out. I think they have a really good, just like structure. And I think a lot of that goes back to Saban. I think you have to give credit to Saban for that. I think a lot of this really goes back to him. But I mean, they just have a really good their strength coach, Tommy Moffitt's one of the most revered in the country. He's kind of like the godfather of strength and conditioning. I know it's going to sound weird, but their trainer, Jack Marucci, is actually, a brilliant guy. And he's not just a trainer. Like he's actually the inventor of Marucci bats. And he's just a brilliant forward thinking guy who just basically is a trainer as a hobby and leads their sports science department. And there's this whole fascinating, for example, Jamar, actually, there's this whole fascinating study they did on basically ocular dominance and how certain receivers see the ball better from certain angles. And like, they spent like a whole year studying this, which is just wild. And they figured out like how to get the most out of receivers by putting them, in certain angles and things like that, because they can see better and catch the ball better. And that's just a very weird off tangent example of kind of, I think their sports science department really does also put them in position for these guys to really grow. And then lastly, I think you combine that talent, you combine that structure, and then you combine they've had really great coaches and really great position coaches. Maybe more importantly, you look at cornerback, which is, I would say, what most people associate with LSU. A lot of people would call it DBU, right? Corey Raymond has been there for about a decade, and he has been, just cranking out superstar corner after superstar corner. That really helps. So I think that's really big. Or hiring a Joe Brady to get the most out of Joe Burrow, things like that. So I feel like that was a non-answer, but at the same time, I think it really is that combination of all those things.
Joe Brady, an interesting name that you bring up. Obviously, now with the Carolina Panthers. One final question, Jamie, if you can pop it up from the fans, if you don't mind doing so. And again, Brody, we appreciate your time. Certainly, some awesome insight here on the LSU program, its players, and we're excited here in Cincinnati. Let's see if Jamie can find a question here. No question. Okay. Well, Brody, we appreciate the time. I too am in the Hoosier State, an hour north of Bloomington and Brownsburg here. But
nice.
Great work. Keep it up. Again, your insight tonight was first class. We're excited here, and look forward to you guys sending us more guys in purple and yellow to the orange and black.
Thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we need a couple more next year, brother. Just let them talk to them.
Well, if you're bad enough, maybe Derek Stingley goes there. He'll probably go top 5, but hopefully you're not bad.
Yeah, right.
But no, in all seriousness, this was a lot of fun, guys, and that's not always the case. So I really enjoyed this, and thanks for having us.
Thanks,
well,
Brody.
You're forever there behind Jimmy's left shoulder, and tell your Bengals family and friends to check out the show. Thanks, Brody. Appreciate it. All righty, how about that insight there?
Dude, you nailed it, James, because when he started talking about Tyler, I was like, holy shit. I heard stuff there I had not heard.
Yeah.
From anybody else. That's some good stuff there, brother.
Yep. No, we appreciate that. We got another exciting segment coming up. I'm going to step off, and I think Bengals fans are going to be pretty excited about this items we're going to show them. Some probably never seen before.
Yeah, guys, let's go and jump into this, guys. So we're definitely going to run. We're going to do this for at least the next 30 minutes. We have Josh. We're going to bring Josh on, and remember, we try to come up with a name for Josh. We're calling Josh the Bengals Super Collector. And everybody on the screen right now, and everybody that's viewing and watching, has a ton of their own stuff as well. And you guys had sent a lot of direct messages with pictures of things you wanted to share tonight. Now, I can't sit here and promise you we're going to get to everything, but we're going to do this for a solid 30 minutes. So we're definitely going to blow through 9 o'clock. Okay, guys? So we don't know how we're going to do this. We tried to talk about this earlier today in pre-show with Josh and how we want to do this. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between myself and Josh and some of the items that you guys had sent in that you wanted to share. But I'm telling you, there are some extremely rare and interesting things. And Josh, let's just get it started, brother. We'll let you start off sharing some of your stuff here. I think this is something we're going to try to do on a weekly basis, a small segment of Bengals memorabilia. But we're going to spend the next half an hour or so on this. You're going to be very excited about some of the stuff you'll see tonight. So, Josh, let's go ahead and you go ahead and kick it off for us, buddy.
Awesome, buddy. Well, thanks for having me back. I know my buddy Hollis is watching tonight, so I wanted to get him involved with the show as well. Hollis does a lot of work for me. Jimmy's got some of his original work. And the main thing I have him doing is bobbleheads. So I wanted to pull a couple of my favorite pieces he's done for me. Right here, we have Chris Henry. with Slim written there. Hollis is a detail guy. Chris Henry, 1 of 1 by Hollis. This is a 12-inch bobblehead. You can see the difference between the 6-inch bobbleheads. This is a Sam Weish that Hollis did for me. Sam Weish in the Super Bowl 23 coaching attire there that he wore on that day. I also have a one only Anthony Munoz Hall of Fame bobblehead. I chose to pick the Hall of Fame because we're going to be there on June 19th, partying with the Bengal Gym crew. And then inspired by Brody Miller tonight, Hollis did this Tommy Casanova bobblehead for me. He's returning the interception that he got there. You can see a picture of Tommy Casanova on the back by Hollis, 1 of 1, 2020. And the other LSU guy right here, Andrew Whitworth.
And Josh, in a lot of these, again, Hollis is actually doing these by hand. These are only 1 or 2 of these ever made, right? I mean, very few of these made.
Yeah, so he doesn't do more than 2. Originally, like I said, was supposed to be 1 for me, 1 for him. That was our little friendship rings there, the bobblehead collection. As we meet these players, they love them. They absolutely love them. I know he gave Tim Crumry his, I believe Willie Anderson, Reggie Williams. So I have 1 and the player has the other, thanks to Hollis. But he does some killer work. And I'll transition it back to you because I saw that he wrote a comment. He's dying to know about that Greg Cook jersey over your right shoulder.
Yeah, actually, well, let's go ahead and go to that. Then we'll throw some of our viewer picks up on there. So over my whatever, I don't even know what it is right now on this green screen. That Greg Cook jersey is at a local memorabilia store. It's the one out in Kenwood, and I can't. Sports Investments has it out there. It's an actual game-worn jersey by Greg Cook, and he's autographed. You can't really see it really well, but he actually autographed that jersey. So if you ever get out to Kenwood area, Sports Investments, that is just a very cool piece right there, that Greg Cook jersey. So let's go ahead and pull up, Jamie, some of our viewer stuff. And we're going to kind of change the screen format here a little bit, guys, so we can show some of these items in. And who is this one in from, Jamie?
Give me 1 sec. This was from @AGrisby81.
All right, guys, we're not going to be able to get to everybody's stuff here, but I thought this was a really cool piece. So Sam Weish went to Fordham, quarterback there, 61 to 66, 62 to 66. This is a Sam Weish autographed college football helmet here, guys, from good old Sam Weish at Fordham. I thought that was a really cool piece. Thanks for sharing this. I had never seen one of these before. So very cool piece there. Thanks for sharing that one. And who's this one from?
@Hallikins.
And this, I didn't know what it was initially. It's a Bengal cooler. That is, I need a Bengals helmet cooler like that. Thanks for sharing that piece. Very cool. And Josh, we want to talk about this next piece too. Go ahead and click that image right there, that Anthony Munoz. So this was shared from, is it Man?
Yep, Man.
From Florida. He's actually coming up from Florida to the June 19th Jungle to the Hall event. And Josh, do you have yours as well?
Not handy.
That's okay. So talk about this piece and how special this specific piece is.
Sure. So last 2 weeks ago, we went through the all-time Bengals #1 draft pick, Anthony Munoz. I showed this piece. The difference was mine has a generic nameplate, solid gold, that it just is printed Anthony Munoz. So this is one of the first 100 pieces Anthony actually signed. So that's a Vince Costello 1998 figurine that they put out. They made the whole Hall of Fame class. Luke Gorza and a couple other Browns were in that class, Walter Payton, Lynn Dawson. So all those players signed the first 100 prints of those pieces. And this looks like one of the first 100 right there.
That's a really cool piece, man. I mean, I had not seen one. I know Josh and I had talked about that piece before, even when I was over his house. So very cool piece, brother. That's a great get right there for sure.
Absolutely.
James, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Are you able to jump? I'm not sure how I had some of these other ones labeled. Can you jump over to the rugs if I have it labeled correctly?
I'm looking. Sorry, give me one.
No worries. No worries.
Looks like it's the very last one right there.
Yep, very, very last one on the right.
One more.
One more.
Nope.
That's okay. Go back to that letter that you saw that right there. Yep. So this one, we're not going to enlarge it or anything. I thought this is a really rare, really cool piece. So what this is this is 1968. Paul Brown hires a gentleman called Al. His name was Al LaCasselle, I think is how LaCasselle. Tom, you know it. So he was basically director of player personnel for Paul Brown and the Cincinnati Bengals in 68 and 69. This was a letter, and basically this is how recruiting worked back in the day. This player, and I didn't write the player's name down, darn it. But this player, they sent out this
Joseph Goldsmith.
Yep. So that was a player at Yale. I can't remember what position he played, but he played at Yale. On the back, it talks about the bio. What's your 40 time, your 100 time? Do you punt? I mean, it's basically a recruiting. It's just gathering data on college players across the country. This is how the NFL or the AFL did it back in 1968-69. So that is an actual letter from the Cincinnati Bengals to Yale, specifically to that player, getting data and information on. And that stuff would be returned in that return envelope to Paul Brown in player director of player personnel, and they would start gathering the information. So just to show you how long and how far the NFL has come in recruiting and data and analytics and all those things. But literally, this is what they did back in the late 60s here. So a really, really cool piece. So these rugs, very interesting piece. So that middle rug there is from 1968. That is literally a throw rug, basically. That was the Bengals backers. This is a piece I have in my personal collection here. Those are really hard to find as well. The piece right below that is, I can't identify the actual year, but it's definitely the 70s, probably early mid-70s, as you can see by the Bengals logo on the side of the helmet. Then the piece, the throw rug on the top is an early 80s throw rug. Collectors collect everything. I got a little bit of everything here, but these three rugs are a pretty cool part of my personal collection as well. So
those are sweet.
Okay, so Josh, let's throw it back to you, buddy. I know you got a bunch of other stuff too. We'll come back to some of these other ones here as well.
Cool. So I'm like a sucker for the Bengals have always put out these like caricature items, like memorabilia wise. I know there's going to be a glare on some of these. I'll try to turn them so there's not. So Corey Dillon in '98, they did a pennant for him with the caricature. I also have the one they did, I think like 2000. So he got two separate ones. Boomer Esiason, they did some for him in '88. There's the actual original pennant that they did. And then when they went to the Super Bowl, they released the second one. We can get a hold of these if anyone is interested in some of these. I know someone that has a ton of them. So that's available. Peter Warwick, they did a caricature pennant to him. Look at this guy, Keely Smith. I think we remember that guy. Right?
He deserved a pennant? Oh my gosh.
He deserves something, all right.
Yeah.
This is actually a t-shirt. It's the print before it was actually pressed. Someone saved one. I managed to get a hold of it, and then Icky signed it for me. So I framed it there, but that's right before they had actually pressed the t-shirt. So got a frame for that bad boy. And then this is my favorite poster I have. It's all the let's see if I can back up a little bit. Get it without the glare. So Anthony Munoz, Boomer's in this, James Brooks, Eddie Brown, Icky Woods, David Fulcher, and there's a whole bunch of sad puppy dog Browns in here. There's a beat up Steelers guy over there in the corner. So even from the '88 season, they were marketing that we can beat Cleveland. So I always really appreciated this piece right here. So
Jack, that's an awesome piece. I have not seen that piece before. I went over your house, dude. That's beautiful. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that one, man. So I've always loved that caricature stuff. So that was always fun. Also, real quick, I wanted to show that. So whenever someone wins a championship in any sport, the first thing they do is they throw the hats on, they throw the t-shirts on, and it's like, man, they printed those up quick. Well, that's obviously because they print up both teams and they like present the winners. So someone snagged some of these pennants that got loose that actually claimed that we won Super Bowl 16. It says Super Bowl 16 champions, Cincinnati Bengals on January 4th, 1982. There's a lot of these pennants floating around there. I've seen quite a few people that actually have them, but if the viewers that don't know, like some of these pennants actually made it out of the box before they were destroyed. That was from Super Bowl 16. I also have two different variations This says Super Bowl champions 23. That's kind of more just like the generic the logo. I know that Jimmy has this one here. Super Bowl champion Bengals, move this way, with the 23 logo down there. So I actually have 3 prints that came. We got one, boys. We got one. So.
And we got so 2. So if anybody ever says Bengals didn't win a Super Bowl, we got pennants to prove that we did, guys. Right. We did. So let's jump back to some of our viewer stuff here as well. So let's keep going with it here, Jamie. So pick anything you want there at this point. I can't remember how we had them labeled. I think, So again,
Nate.
Yeah, Houday Nate. Nate, thanks for sharing this. Again, this is if you're a memorabilia collector. I'm a huge. I've got hundreds and hundreds of game day programs, and obviously this is a must-have in a collection for Cincinnati Bengals. This is a Super Bowl 16 game day program. So I appreciate him sharing it. I've got. I didn't bring any of my game day programs to put up here today, but that's a great piece.
Next one is from @HoudayGal2.
We had to do. I mean, I got dozens of requests for the Joey Burrow, autographed items, and they're really hot, extremely hot. So this is something that they wanted to share with us: a Joey Burrow autographed football. There's autographed posters out there, helmets, mini and regular helmets. And a lot of footballs and a lot of those Panini cards, you'll see Joe Burrow's actual autograph on those as well.
All right. Next one we have is from Big Mike.
Yeah, Big Mike from New Jersey. He's also coming in from to the Jungle to the Hall event on June 19th, all the way from New Jersey. Man coming up from Florida and Big Mike coming in from New Jersey. This is a really cool piece. It's a Boomer Esiason. I don't think I've seen this one. Josh, you have any background on this one here for us?
I believe Hollis did that one.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah, I think that's Hollis's. He kept the 63 on the helmet. So for people that don't know, in 1997, when Boomer came back, he was upset they let Joe Walter go. So he rocked the 63 on his helmet that whole season.
Very cool.
That picture is very famous of him walking off the field that 97 season. And Hollis, I believe, did that painting. So he must have got a print, and looks like Boomer signed it for him.
Yeah, Hollis looks like he's watching on Facebook right now. Can you pop that up, Jamie? Hollis, who does some amazing work, absolutely amazing work. There it is, verifying what Josh said. We got a bunch of collectors on here right now checking this out. So, and actually, I'm not sure if Hollis is going to make it June 19th up there, but Mike is in New Jersey. Your print is in his house in New Jersey right now, Hollis. That's a really cool item right there. And go to the playing cards if you could. I want to show these guys something. Yeah, that first one there. So if you remember these Cincinnati Hero cards that they did, it had all of the great Cincinnati Bengals throughout history. Well, this is in my personal collection. So the artist that did those cards did these paintings, basically. It looked like oil paintings or something. I'm not sure exactly what they are. I don't think they're oil paintings, but his drawings. He did these when he presented to whoever he was presenting the idea to, and I have the original prints from that artist that you can see the cards in the upper right and of the upper corners of each one of those pics there. So very cool pieces I have yet to have framed on, but those are the original artist renditions for those cards. I was trying to get the Munoz one and some of the other ones, but those were already given away to other folks. But I know a lot of Bengal collectors have this deck of cards, the Cincinnati Heroes cards, and these are the actual prints they used to do that. So,
that's awesome.
Josh, back to you, buddy.
All right. Well, first of all, I forgot to mention that I'm rocking the 89 Dan Ross jersey tonight.
Dan Ross, brother. Heck yeah, it's beautiful. Love it.
This is another one of my favorite pieces. This is a print. I don't really know. Trying to get the glare off it. I don't really know what year it's from. But Ken Anderson signed each one of these prints in the bottom. Move over a little more. He signed in the bottom right-hand corner there, Ken Anderson, right next to the artist. I actually saw one of these in a La Rosa's Pizza. I was like, I got to hunt one down. I managed to do it. So this is a must-have, man. This is a must-have piece right here.
1981.
81. Even better. Thanks, Tom.
Hey, Josh, I have that print as well. I can't remember. Were there only so many of those made? So many of those prints I can't remember.
Yeah. So this is number 953 of 3,000.
Okay.
3,000.
Yeah, that's just a beautiful piece right there. I love it.
You got to be one of the lucky 3,000 because this is a nice piece, man. This is worth it.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Set that aside there. And then, as I said, I know Hollis is watching, so I had to pull his favorite piece. The old school 1988 SWAT team
Josh?
poster. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. You're good.
Trying to get the glare out.
That's good. Yeah, that's
Okay. There we go.
that's a classic piece right there.
We got Lewis Billups, another fallen Bengal from remembrance, but we got Eric Thomas, Derek Fulcher, Solomon Wilcots. They're rocking there's a PR 24 and some handcuffs. They got the hat on backwards, trying to show the edge. So I'm still trying to get that glare off the screen, but
that's all right. That's all right. We knew. Hey, look, this is people get it, man. So we've had two of those. We had Solly and Fulcher on the show here the last 3 or 4 months. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. I feel like the SWAT team poster, that's a must-have for a Bengals collector.
Oh, man, that's a hard one to get right now, John. An original one. That's an original one hard to get.
Original poster. There are some reprints floating around.
Yep.
I know that. So this I actually pulled. It's not really anything really significant. This is just a souvenir ball from the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in 2010 when the Bengals played the Cowboys. On the back, it's got the class that went in that year. There's a former Bengals head coach, Dick LeBeau. But I figured I'd pull that because we've been talking about the June 19th journey to the Hall for the Jungle up there. I'm really excited about going, so I pulled this item for you guys. In 2000, when Paul Brown Stadium opened, they put out a series of footballs. This one here is the inaugural season football. It's limited out of 500. They put this football out to signify the entire season for 2000. On the back, it features the 2000 schedule. Going on from that one, they have this is the inaugural game, September 10th, 2000, where the Bengals played the Browns. It's got the beautiful Paul Brown Stadium logo on the back there, limited to 750. And the third ball in that collection is the grand opening of the stadium, Chicago Bears versus Cincinnati Bengals on August 19th, 2000. There's only 250 of these out there. Once again, on the back, it's got Paul Brown Stadium, and it's got the facts of the building being the groundbreaking was on April 25th, 98, 65,000 fans, natural turf, August 19th. That's a nice little set. Get the 3 balls together. You can tell them what your sons did with yours if you want, but
yeah. And guys, if you're a younger fan and you've got a great collection, you have footballs in it, do not let your kids take those footballs out on the concrete and play with them, because mine is totally destroyed. Let's flip back to some of the fan stuff here, some of the other stuff we have pictures of, guys.
All right, let's go to this one, Jimmy.
Yeah. Let me. So, guys, this is a really cool piece, and I can't remember who is this from again.
Sorry, it's Jason Williams.
Okay, so you don't need to show the back of that, but basically on the back of that, it's the original prototype artwork that was submitted and approved by Paul Brown for the Cincinnati Bengals helmets. We've all seen those pictures, the old pictures of Paul Brown with all those helmets around him. Well, this is the prototype that was actually approved and chosen by Paul Brown to wear in 1968. So that is it's not a very, I don't know exactly what it is. It's one of those things they could throw in a projector, they could show it on the screen kind of thing. If you know what I'm talking about, a slide of some kind. So that's a really cool piece he has there. That is a really rare piece that he has there as well. So really cool thing. Thanks for sharing that for sure.
One more from the fans, I believe, from Jeff.
Oh, yeah. So this is Bengal Banner guy, Bengal Banner boy. So I mean, this picture is kind of floating all around social media, right? This is not a rare picture, but man, this is just a classic Ken Anderson, Ken Riley running off the field. Kenny just hitting Isaac for a touchdown. And if you can see, I know we don't have we can't enlarge it any more than what we're doing right now, but Kenny and Isaac both signed that piece right there. So that is from Jeff Wagner, Bengal Banner guy, boy, who submitted that one. He sent a bunch of stuff. I just kind of picked one out of it. That's a really cool piece right there. And then if you're able to go to the go to the cards if you could. Yeah. So I'm an avid card collector as well. I've got every Pops ever made for the Cincinnati Bengals. I got tons of Paninis that are more recent. I've got all these different things, but this is the rarest set of Cincinnati Bengal cards you're ever going to find. This is the complete set of the 1969 Tressler Comets football cards. And Tom, I think you and I are probably familiar with Tressler Comet. I think our dads, when we were real little, were probably going to Tressler Comets. If you went to the gas station, you could get one of these cards. I think was the deal.
Right.
But But I mean, there are some classic. These are it's all black and white with the orange numbers on the front. That was not how the uniforms looked. That's just how the cards were made. You can see Paul Brown at the top there, Warren McVeigh. If you look down to the left, second row on the left, middle row, you see Greg Cook. You see Bob Trumpy down there, number 84.
Bob Johnson, Royce Berry.
Yeah, Sam Weich. Guys, Livingston, the punter right there. Guys, I'm telling you, this is when you're a collector, there's sometimes you collect your whole life and never get a complete set of something. I've worked for many, many years to get that complete set. And that's one of my prize in my collection is that 1969 complete set, mint condition, Trust for Comet. So that's a really cool set of cards. At least it is for me. I love it.
Jimmy, can you touch on why the jerseys are orange or the numbers are orange?
I don't know the why behind that. I really don't. I've done so much research on it. It was just the way they printed them up that way. It was a black and white photo. They couldn't do orange, and they just said, well, we can do the numbers in orange. But I don't know the why behind that unless you do, Josh.
No, I don't. I was wondering if you did.
Yep.
Hollis might know. We'll get up with him.
Yeah, Hollis, if you're watching, buddy, if you know that, man, let us know. Another piece of my collection. Again, guys, we're going to do something every week as it relates to Bengals memorabilia. Josh and I and everybody else, we got tons of stuff, but we're going to just keep rolling on this stuff. But this is another cool piece. This is not, extremely rare. You can still get these. So basically, when the Bengals open up against the and Tom, I'm getting ready to test you here in a minute, okay? My history guy right here. But September 20th, 1970, the first game as an NFL team. And remember, in 68 and 69, they were in the AFL.
Right.
In 1970 was the first game at Riverfront Stadium, opening game, and they put these cards and some other stuff inside that small envelope. And as you went into the stadium, that was your commemorative piece card to show that you were at the first game ever, first NFL game, and the first football game, regular season game at Riverfront Stadium there. Yep. And as you can see, sponsored by Frisch's Big Boy there. But those things are floating around different areas. So keep an eye out for those. But those are really cool pieces. I'm not going to say they're extremely easy to get a hold of, but again, something you could find if you look really hard for.
Second year in a row, the Bengals upset the Raiders that day.
I was going to ask you, Tom. You got it. You nailed it. They opened up their.
With our new soccer team opening their stadium today and somebody getting their first goal, Hank Aaron hit the first home run in Riverfront Stadium. Anybody know who scored the first touchdown?
Oh, I do. Was it a rushing for Sam Weich?
Sam Weich.
Yep. Whew, man, I had a lot of pressure on that. Now Josh shared some pennants, and believe me, Josh has dozens and dozens of pennants, and I got a ton of them as well. He has some that I don't have, and vice versa. I just took some pictures and put them on one image for you guys. So these are kind of four of my favorites, a little bit because they're a little rare and harder to find. The one in the upper left-hand corner I love it because you got the black pennant with the orange overlay with the old school pumpkin head helmet there. But the AFL logo there. Remember, the Bengals were on the AFL for 2 years, 68 and 69. And then you see the running tiger above the Cincinnati font right there. Love that one. And then the one on the bottom left is one that Josh and I were talking about. That's the old picture of Riverfront Stadium. That's from 1970. Now, Josh, let's talk about that particular pennant. We had a good conversation about this one earlier. What is unique about this, and what other things are available out there as it relates to that 1970 season?
We did talk about it. So it is very rare. There's 4 different variations of it. There's another orange one where everything written on that pennant is in black. And then there's an all white one and then an all black one. And they are sharp, man. They're hard to get. That one that you're showing right there just sold on eBay last week for $150. So it's right in the ballpark of being anywhere from $100 to $200 pennant. They're extremely rare to find. I don't even have that one. We talked about that earlier. Like that's a nice piece that you have. If the viewers have pictures of the other 3, send them in, man. That'd be great to show on the next show.
Yeah, we would love, and we want to do this every show, guys, because look, I've been to so many different people's houses and man caves, and everybody has something somebody else doesn't have, and it's just fun. Let's share it and have fun with it, and I love seeing rare stuff. It's just really cool. And then the other 2 pieces here in the upper right-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner are Bengal pennants, and I wish I could tell you where in the heck I even got these things. I've had them for a long time. But those are also rare pieces as well, right, Josh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Everything on that screen is rare. especially the 3 orange pennants. They're all at least probably $100. Not many out there. There's another one on the bottom right. They have another one that's the same pennant, but it says 1981 AFC champions. It's even more rare to get them that one there. But those are all beautiful. I love every single one of those pennants.
Yeah. And it was fun. Like Josh and I were like, we could spend, 10-hour show tonight trying to go through all of our stuff. We still wouldn't have enough time. But I'm trying to think, is there anything else on that those pictures, Jamie, that we did not hit? Oh,
there it is.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, this is these are hanging on my wall right here. And these are outside of my probably my game day programs, which we'll get into another time. These are some of my favorite pieces, and it's very hard to get, but for 2 reasons. One, you have collectors like Josh and I and everybody on the screen that want these, right? But you also have the beer collectors who are all over the place. You might have somebody in Austin, Texas, and doesn't care anything about Cincinnati Bengals. They want Burger beer. They want the beer. The beer collectors are out there all over the place. So these are really nice size. I should have kind of put something up to give you kind of a ratio of what size. These are pretty nice size, basically schedule posters. And I probably should have did them individually, but the artwork on it is absolutely amazing. I love it. I just love the artwork. The one in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm looking over my screen here, is the 1976 schedule. And it's crazy. I'll post these on social media, but it's like, I think there was like 6 or 7 games in the preseason. But that artwork on there is just beautiful. They're playing that art image has the Green Bay Packers behind them. The one in the right-hand corner, as I look at my walls, from 1975 schedule, kind of a jump throw painting there of a Bengals quarterback, a really cool image. And the bottom one is really cool and really hard to get a hold of. And especially if you get these guys, grab them no matter what condition they're in. It's unbelievable. But that 1969 and that image of the kicking the ball there. And what's really funny, so the burger was, I think, brewed in Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I was too young for this. But one of the things, and I'm looking at my wall, one of the things in that 69 poster that you can probably see in the bottom right-hand corner says, brewed with pure artesian water. Now, I'm sure that was a marketing ploy because there was sure in hell no damn artesian water here in Cincinnati. I wouldn't think, but I don't even know what burger beer tastes like. I don't even know. But anything you can get with Bengals and any beer at all is extremely hard to get. And usually if you get it in mint condition, they're pretty pricey to find. So if you're going out to yard sales or you see this stuff and you don't think it's anything big, buy it up. It's something very cool. Very cool.
And then send it to us.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
Yeah, they're rare pieces. They're rare. They're hard to find. And like you said, it's true. I do know a guy that has some Bengals beer stuff, and he won't sell it, and he doesn't like the Bengals. He is just a beer collector. He won't come off anything, but that stuff's hard to come by.
Yep. Good stuff. So, Josh, I mean, we're going through this like crazy. You got any more you want to share?
One more round, yeah. I just pulled this one. I've always liked this piece. It's from October 2nd, 94. Shula versus Shula, Riverfront Stadium, October 2nd, 94. Dave signed it. Don signed it. The 75th anniversary logos on the ball. I just always thought it was a really nice ball. These are, you can find them, but, a lot of people discard the stuff from the 90s. A lot of people don't know that the stuff in the 90s is hard to get because they were so bad that people just either didn't buy it or threw it away. And I find it sometimes that like the 90s stuff is really hard to get a hold of. I also have this, it's a mug with Kenny Anderson, and it says Anderson Airlines, Ken Anderson on it, 20 in a row. On the back, it's got the schedule from 1983, and it's got all Kenny's stats from the season on there. There's also a pennant that says Anderson Airlines on it that I don't have, but it's rare to come by.
Hey, Josh, let me ask you. So that particular mug is one when I was over your house I had never seen before. So 20 in a row, Tom. What was the importance of that 20 in a row? Do you remember?
At the time, that was the NFL record. Nobody had ever done it before.
That's
it was
right.
the last regular season game of the 1982 strike season. And he went down to Houston. I mean, he was on 81 to 82. He was absolutely automatic. And he went down and he could not miss against the Oilers. He got in rhythm, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
really quick to capitalize on that too, what Tom just said. It's got on the back here, it's got the down. So this one says 3rd and 4 on the Cincinnati 31 to Steve Kreider, yards gained 25. It's got all the receivers of that game. Kreider, Collinsworth, Johnson, Collinsworth, Ross, Alexander, Collinsworth, ML Harris, Ross, Alexander, Curtis, Alexander, Ross, Collinsworth, Kreider, Verser, and Ross.
Okay, so Dan Ross caught the last pass, that 20th consecutive pass?
Yes.
How fitting. You got his jersey on. I mean, unbelievable. So, hey, that mug right there, I know people see this stuff and don't think it's a big deal. Holy, that mug is ridiculously cool, Josh.
There's another mug out there that's like a smaller, it's the same mug, but it's like the smaller like coffee size. This one's actually kind of tall. But
do you drink beers out of it or coffee, Josh, at all? What do you
No, I sit it on the shelf, but if they put him in the hall, if they put Kenny in the hall, I will drink a burger beer out of this. I don't care what year it's from.
Hey, you know those, and again, I know everybody has it, but you know those old Super Bowl beers? I got a bunch of those over there, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm bringing a 6-pack up to Canton, and we're going to bust them up there, and if they get in.
However, it's got to get done. One last piece. Then this isn't old. This is new. I actually got this for my birthday. The Joe Burrow ball, quarterback, limited of 2020. It's got Joey's picture on it. It's got his all of his college highlight stats on the right side, the college awards on the left. On the back, it's got Bengals history, and then a picture of Paul Brown Stadium. This is from Nico Sports. They're out right now. I don't know how many they have left, but I saw that they're doing $35 off. The ball's about $50. So if anyone's interested, that's like the first Joe Burrow piece that's limited edition that I've seen. So I picked that one up. So that's all I got for you tonight.
Go ahead, James. You have something?
No, I'm just in awe. I think AJ said it best. He's headed on to eBay now to go look for Bengal stuff. So see what you're doing, Josh. You're making people spend money.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Honestly, I'd like to put together a Bengals memorabilia show later this year. I don't know what strings with COVID-19 and all that we got to do, but I think that'd be a cool event. Get everyone together at a bar, do some trading, see what people have. Maybe just bring show and tell and drink some beer. And I think that'd be fun.
We have the resources to make that happen. We could reserve different rooms and areas at different places, centrally located. Josh, it's something we're going to make happen, brother. Let's get together.
One last thing, guys, keep sending your pictures in. That was cool. I didn't even know we were doing that. It's cool to see what everyone has, and attach a story with it. Sometimes, it might be meaningless or worthless but I'd like to hear the stories that go along with some of this stuff.
You know what? Hey, Jamie, if you're still on there, can you find the autographed picture of Andy Dalton? Can you find
Jamie had to go swimming with family commitments. So you're stuck with me producing the end of the show.
Okay. You can't pull that up, right, James?
No.
Okay. Well,
we'll bring it back.
I am sorry, but I got to at least talk about this. So, and I can't remember who this was, but they just sent a picture, a direct message. I can't remember what platform they were using to send it to me, but the picture was very simple. It was Andy Dalton raising his hand. He had just rushed for a touchdown against Kansas City. I can't remember what game it was. Autographed by Andy Dalton. In the background, you see a kid that has an 89 Bengals jersey on. So not a very expensive piece, maybe $5, autograph, whatever you want to pay for it, right? But that was his son in the picture in the background. So that was like Josh said, it's not one thing about, there's stuff that we're going to show that it's not worth a dime, right? But it's what is worth to you in your head, right? It's a memory. And that's what a lot of this stuff is, man. It's just absolute memories. And Aaron, I apologize, buddy. And that was a great thing. I wanted to share that because I thought it was very cool that, there's a lot of Andy Dalton autographed pictures, but your son or number 89 jersey, and you knew who that was, and Andy autographed it. You got a very special story around that autographed picture of Andy Dalton. So very cool stuff. So guys, look, Josh, we're just getting started on this memorabilia stuff. And it's funny because as collectors, you kind of want to keep things on the DL, man. Like you don't want 7,000 people out there snatching up all these different things, right? Because you're trying to fill out your collection. But at the end of the day, Josh and I agree, you know what? This just helps our team, our city. It gets more excitement going around this. It's not just eBay. There's yard sales. There's different things that you get. I mean, I've had stuff that my father-in-law has given me. I had stuff that, an older gentleman who was moving out of town said, left a box of stuff at my front door and said, Jimmy, I want it to go to a good home. Somebody I know is not going to sell it. Somebody I know that's going to respect it. And that's what you got to do, guys. You got to go out there and find some of this stuff. You'll find stuff on eBay and some other platforms, but this is what it's about. It's a lot of fun. And I just love hearing the stories around some of the things people have as well. So we're going to continue to do this. Maybe a short segment, at least every show. And like Josh said, we're going to do something at some point this year. I think we could get some very cool things, and we can get together as a group of fans and kind of share some things with each other as well. And everybody has doubles of things too, right? So there's things of sharing and trading and all kinds of things for us to do together as fans. So I think it's fun with all the excitement and energy being generated by the team off season this year. Hell, let's as fans keep this damn thing going, Josh, and keep building on this and get the excitement going for our city, our team, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Josh, we appreciate it, but I'm going to cut this segment when we are done, and this will be a complete segment by itself. We've been about maybe 35 minutes, on the show talking about memorabilia, but we're going to cut that and do a separate segment on our YouTube channel. There'll be an actual link that's going to show all of our memorabilia discussion on there. So we're going to make a new segment on our YouTube channel as well, talking about all this great memorabilia that everybody's sharing. So, Josh, we appreciate it, big dog. We'll see you again next week, man. It means a lot.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Who day?
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, who day, buddy.
Oops, you don't want my smiling face there. Let's see. Nope, not that.
There you go.
Whoa, what do we got going on here? There we go. All right. Hey. All right. So
guys, hey, let's go. Hey, guys, we went really long today, but I don't care if anybody's watching or not right now. I really enjoyed that memorabilia piece. That was a lot of fun. And I'm throwing one more thing on there, that memorabilia piece. Was down at the Bengals Pro Shop Saturday. They've got Ring of Honor hats. They just got in this past week Ring of Honor shirts, a gray one and kind of a lighter color, like a black one and a gray one. And they also have Ring of Honor footballs with the for autographs. So I snatched up a football because I'm really hoping to get Ken Anderson, Anthony Munoz signature, and hopefully Isaac Curtis when they get those guys inducted into the Ring of Honor.
We should be hearing about how to vote for that very, very shortly.
Yeah, I did run into down at the Pro Shop. Katie and Troy were buying a jersey, a T. Higgins jersey for their niece's birthday. I'm not going to tell you what he said, but he told me who he was voting for. His 2 votes are going to be for. Can't say. It's on the DL, but I'm pretty happy with it. So we all get votes. So if you're a season ticket holder, you will be able to vote. So, but guys, let's go ahead and close it out. Tom, you want to go ahead and get it started?
Yeah, even though it's the off season, I think the Bengals still are having a great off season, which should translate to a good during the season. Everything we heard from rookie minicamp was good, especially our top 3 picks, and going on down the line. Wyatt Huber is a name to watch, and something I know we were all thrilled, and we all love Kevin Huber, but we might have a punting competition on our hands come August, because evidently Drew Chrisman was booming bombs down at Paul Brown Stadium and at the practice field. So there are going to be a lot of positions to watch, but it's going to be a very fun camp when camp gets going.
Punters are people too, isn't that what Rich? Okay, punters are people too. So that's Tom's ending note. I guess my turn. I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. We will, if you guys remember, we did a couple live shows. We did one from 16 Lots last year. We did another one from downtown on the banks. We'll do a live show, and we'll include memorabilia. So I'm just calling it now. It'll be announced. So be ready for that live in-person show with memorabilia. We'll invite people to bring memorabilia, and it's going to be fun. I want to thank Brody Miller. What an awesome guest. Just some awesome insight there on the LSU program, the players. He knew where Tyler Shelvin was training in Texas. Just stuff, I don't know where else you'd get it. And to my knowledge, I don't think he's been on any other Cincy media things.
We have a draft expert who's a friend of ours who also spoke openly of, Tyler Shelvin's famous favorite buffets, but but actually no, he that guy who will remain nameless but knows us all said that we Bengals got a great pick there and a great value and much in need, especially with his exact words were much in need with playing Cleveland twice a year.
Yeah, especially the running game they have. So thank you to Brody. Great insight there. And I'm going to end it with this. I don't know if Bengals fans paid attention, but we have a new Syracuse player on the roster. It was brought in for minicamp, Eric Dungy, who, Tom, why are you shaking your head? Remember when Brody was talking about high character guys? Well, this is another high character guy.
We need him
to make up for the Marvin year. Did I say that out loud? Okay, so we got another high character guy.
Say that.
Last game was a bowl win over West Virginia. So even if he's on the practice squad, great kid. I'm excited to have another Orange player on the roster.
And everybody should know by now, James is a big Q's guy, just like everybody in the front office at PBS.
So maybe that's why. Maybe, I don't know, but excited about that.
It is cool. He had a pretty damn good career at Syracuse too, James. So he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Well, guys, hey, we'll cut it off here. Thanks for staying with us. A lot of people viewing tonight. I know the memorabilia thing was very exciting to me. Again, I want to reiterate again, thanks to Josh again. Brody was awesome. He gave some insight there. To be honest, I had not heard before. Thank you guys for viewing it. It just, by the fans, for the fans. This is fun. And every week I get something new out of this, and the energy I get from our guests and everybody on the screen and you guys viewing, I need it. I love it. Just keep it going. And guys, I know I'm talking like crazy. We're not even we're almost 30 days out from the June 19th event. Guys, if you haven't registered, make sure you RSVP. It's a day trip up there and back. It's an easy road trip to Canton and back. If you've never been in the Hall of Fame, you got to make the trip to see the inside of the Hall of Fame. It's an amazing place. But that 1 to 3 segment, look for later this week, more details. We're still firming up some things, but it's going to be an absolute epic event from 1 to 3. We're going to have a blast. And if you're able to make it, we want you there. We're going to be doing a show from up there as well. We're going to go remote with some guests on some things. But we appreciate everybody from joining us today, and we will see you guys next week. Hoo day. Don't forget.
Let's get ready to rumble.